Is a psychic and intuitive life coach and a chronic pain warrior. Today, she's here to share how to stay motivated through life's challenges. Please welcome Dena Paduano.
Dena
Welcome.
Paduano.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Buongiorno,
much.
joining us from Italy.
Buongiorno, piacere. It's nice to meet you.
You too. What brings you to Italy?
I had come to Italy for love, and then unfortunately that didn't work out, and so then I stayed because I loved the country, not the man. It's the easiest way of putting that, right? So then, and then it was like I lived in Rome, and then after Rome, I instead of going because it was during COVID, I separated, and then I was like, go big, go Rome. Okay, I went to Rome from Los Angeles, and then I was like, you know what, the mountains, let's run for the hills. So then I moved into a blue zone of Italy, and then that is when the real healing journey started was in
Mm,
2020, right? Because I had to be isolated from everyone and everything, no more distractions. And then this was literally where they sent me, meaning the universe, to be silent on a timeout so that I could go in, because the only way out is to go in. So now I'm in Abruzzo, which in Abruzzo they called the lungs of Europe. It's the most untouched region in all of Europe. And so now I'm here.
wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel that some people travel thinking that they're going to see some countryside, but end up traveling to discover that the journey was within? Do you come across that quite often?
It depends on the people and the culture and of course the background. But it's interesting to me because I've been dealing with this a lot, especially like trying to date online. You have your locals who are from here, right? So
Mm,
they grew up in a system which they have been suppressed by, frustrated by, whatever. So the common ignorant comment that I get from men is, what is a girl from Los Angeles doing in Abruzzo? There's no skyscrapers here. And you're like, okay, that's coming from someone going, I've lived here my whole life, there's nothing here. And why would you come from there? Because they're seeing it from a different perspective, right?
mm,
My perspective is, well, why don't you ask me instead of assuming? Right. And so I've had 35 surgeries, 5 autoimmunes. I deal with chronic pain. I have a machine in my back. I have kidney stones. I deal with all of these things. So for me, it was, I had to come and save myself. I had to come and heal. I had to come
mm,
to a place where I moved to a town where it's a farming town. It's 44,000, but I get all organic, fresh food that if I were still living in Los Angeles or in Rome, I wouldn't be able to eat or have the lifestyle that I have. So it makes sense to me now. But instead of judging those people like I was in the beginning because I was so frustrated, I'm like, oh, well, those are just the wrong people not asking the right questions. The right
mm,
person who's meant for me will be like, oh my God, it's such a beautiful place. What brings you here? Instead of, and when I tell you, it never changes. 90% of the people that I meet will say that same silly line. There's no skyscrapers here. What is a girl from Italy? And I'm like, you're just making yourself look silly, is ignorant, but okay, that's fine. And 56 years old. In the beginning, I used to get frustrated when I first moved here. Now I get it, and
mm.
I understand it. But I've been able to put 3 autoimmunes into remission. I've been able to slow down the kidney stone formation. I've been able to get a hold of my chronic pain, and I've been able to get a different perspective.
Mm.
But that's because I'm not from here. Take me from Los Angeles, who was pursuing acting, doing all of those things, then to Rome in a marriage. I call it a narcissistic prison, but in a marriage that didn't work. And then I came here, and it was the only time in my life that I was left with my own thoughts and my own feelings because there's nothing else around. Right? But that's what it took for someone like me, was
Mm.
to put me, isolate me. Then it was during COVID. Then TikTok became a big thing. And then I found out when I was watching TikTok that I'm also neurodivergent and I have ADHD. And so I got a bit of the TISM and I got some ADHD. And I was like, well, this makes sense. Right. And so then I went down those rabbit holes. I would have never discovered that if I was always distracted out there doing all of those things. So really, living over here actually saved me because it helped me empower myself, save myself, because I realized that everything I was doing, it was inflicted also and adding to the issues. And so now what I do is I research and I do things for myself. So I got myself off of 10 out of 13 medications within the last year. And it's
Wow.
interesting to me that I had advanced osteoporosis, advanced gout, advanced what's the rheumatoid arthritis. And after 9 months of doing the infrared sauna bag, Joe Dispenza meditation, and doing everything very slowly, tapering under a doctor's care, the family doctor called and was like, "You're not ordering your medicines. You can't stop all of these things." He goes, "It's been a while." And I go, "Oh, no, 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 I'm tapering off that." "No, you can't. You have to take all these tests." So he gave me 100 blood tests. I took 100 blood tests. No osteopenia or osteoporosis found. No rheumatoid or rheumatoid arthritis factors found. No gout or gout factors found. So please tell me how I was on medications 3 times a day for over 15 years for all of these ailments. And after 9 months, I'm not taking these medications. And I also went off of acid reflux medicine slowly. I did all of this slowly. You cannot just abruptly get off of these things. I got off an antidepressant. I was on for 20 years. Like all of these things, and all of the issues have dissipated. I still deal with the chronic pain and the kidney stones, but I was making 14 to 10 millimeter kidney stones. Now they're not as big, but I've learned no one ever told me about an oxalate. No one ever told me about what a high oxalate diet was. No one ever told me. There's all these things that I'm learning because now AI is available to us, right?
Mm.
So I'm learning now, but I would have never done this if I was still living over there, right? So I understand now why I'm here is to heal. And because I'm a psychic and an intuitive, I'm sure I brought on a lot of other people's issues without realizing it because they didn't know how to protect myself before and I wasn't doing all the things that I needed to do. But at the sweet old ripe age of 56, I'm finally getting it. And I'm not mad at anyone because I'm realizing is everyone's doing the best they can from whatever and wherever they're at in their story. But
Mm.
it didn't happen overnight. That doesn't mean I still don't have resentment. Doesn't mean I still don't get frustrated. So the other day I went to Rome and I went to the doctor and I was like, "Look, I'm making these kidney stones every 6 weeks." This lady says to me, I kid you not, "Oh no, it's not kidney stone pain. Um, I think it's because of the last 3 medications you're on, this, that, and the other." I go, "Okay, but why now would I be having all these things?" She ordered all the blood tests I had just brought her. Yesterday, I passed the kidney stone and I got a picture of it. Took a picture, put it through there. It's a calcium oxalate stone, which then I did my research and I can go in and adjust my diet, get some calcium citrate, do the, I don't need Medicaid. It's all from me. But so the gaslighting, so it's like, am I going to believe you or my body? Because I was actually in pain telling her, no,
Mm.
no, that's not, those stones are too small for you to have the kind of pain that you have. With that being said, for the first time in a long time, I was able to catch the stone. I actually got a picture of the stone. Shocking. And don't think I'm not going to send it to that doctor. And I want to say so many things, but tell me how. Look at, I wait, what?
Wow.
So I passed a stone, but I'm in that office on Friday, and this was yesterday, was Sunday. She's telling me that I don't have kidney stones and my pain is something else. And now she's starting to make me question myself. I've been dealing with kidney stones since I'm 20. So you know that saying, "Are you going to believe me or those lion eyes of yours?"
Mm.
It felt like that, right? And so imagine people who haven't been through the medical system like I have, and we're trained to listen to our doctors, and we're trained to, oh, don't do that if your doctor said, did you run that by your doctor? Now, for the first time in life, before they were the only ones who had the information accessible to them. Now everyone has the same information accessible to them. I know a
Mm.
lot of people don't have time to research, don't know where to start with research. I just started somewhere. I took a picture of the kidney stone, put it through Gemini, DeepSeek, all of it. It said, oh, that's an oxalate calcium kidney stone. Then it tells me all the things that I do. Now, of course, I would run it by a doctor, but that doctor just told me I didn't have kidney stones and kidney stones aren't my pain.
Mm.
So when I say I've been through the system since I'm 20 with the 35 surgeries and all of these other things, I'm not saying don't listen to doctors, whatever, but now you have something that you can educate yourself about yourself for yourself, because who knows you better than you? Who knows all your symptoms better than you? Who's with you, all of you? Then for me to go to a doctor for a doctor to tell me that everything about me isn't true? So I was a little defeated when I left there, but I didn't cry like I used to cry, get frustrated like I used to get frustrated. I just started packing up all my stuff, and my ex-husband was with me. I'm packing up my stuff, and he knows that I'm done. So I packed up, I grabbed my folders from her students and from her, and I stood up and I said, unfortunately, this was another waste of a session. And then I walked out and left him in there, and he always does the polite things, because nothing good is going to come out of my mouth if I sit there and keep listening to someone who's telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about with my own body.
Mm. Mm.
How I used to do it was I would cry, I would be frustrated, I would feel unheard, I would feel gaslit when I didn't even know what gaslit was. I would feel all of these
Can you
things, and then
explain gaslit? Because for a lot of people, they're still not up to speed what gaslighting is.
well, gaslighting is, it doesn't just have to come from narcissism, right? There's narcissistic style people, but gaslighting is, it's like this. Like if you're drinking a Coke and I'm telling you you're drinking a 7 Up, and I'm like, dude, that's not a Coke. It's a 7 Up. What are you talking about? Look at it. Like, oh my God, are you kidding? It's just literally telling you something that isn't true and making you feel a bunch of different ways and coming at you and accusing you, and you're having to defend yourself. And now I'm starting to question myself, going, wait, maybe it is the medication. Wait, maybe it is. So for days, like 2 days, because it didn't pass it until yesterday. And I'm like, wait. So then I start researching all the medication. Well, maybe it could be. Maybe I was a little rude to her. And then when I pass the kidney stone, I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, you know yourself.
Mm.
But the problem is that I had so much riding on that, because I had been making kidney stones in June every 6 weeks, and this has accelerated, and I couldn't figure out why. So my only option, and I have private insurance, is I went to a nephrologist. I've been to a urologist. I've done everything. I've been everywhere. And literally, this woman with the two students starts telling me, and then she says to me, sounds like it's a problem with your urethra from your hysterectomy in 2017. The fuck are you? What? This is like 9 years later. I've never, ever had any problem with my urethra. No, they put a tube wrong, and what are you? And then she wanted me to go get a stent in my urethra and have that checked. I'm very confused, but thankfully I have the wherewithal to go, okay, we're done. We're
Mm.
good. I went, I tried, and I realized that the system can't do more for me for this particular situation than I can do for myself. I can
Mm.
adjust my diet. I can watch what I eat. I can count my oxalates. There's apps for that, right? And so instead, I used to give my power away and then sit in the powerlessness, being a victim, staying stuck, right? But since I've learned that I have ADHD, autism, all of these things, what I learned is all of that with my brain. I've been learning now to accommodate my brain with the ADHD impulsiveness, the autism needing for regulation, seeker of information, like all of these things, that now these are my superpower assistants, because I know pattern recognition. I can feel when something's off. I can feel when an injustice is happening. That is my internal system literally signaling me, hey, wait, something's off, something's going on. When before I would attach it to, I got diagnosed when I was little as anxious and depressed. Oh, that's just my anxieties. Oh my God, I'm so anxious because I'm not. No, no, no. That's your body signaling for you something's not right.
Mm. Mm.
So I've had to learn to empower myself, but also to believe in myself. and trust myself, right? But it's literally, again, we'll go back to, oh, that's ridiculous. That's this, that. I would tell doctors for years, when I eat gluten, I feel like there's something that hits my back and I'm always lethargic. No, we did tests. You're not sensitive to gluten. And if you stop eating gluten, you're going to form a sensitivity. So then you can't stop. Again, I believed them for a very long time until 4 years ago, I stopped eating gluten. And guess what? I don't have chronic fatigue. I'm not taking naps all day. That pain I was talking about, completely gone. And how I know it's that pain is every once in a while I'll get glutened, and that pain that's familiar, I correlate, that pain is back. So what does that tell me? That's the gluten. But because your test doesn't say it, and you're telling me, who doesn't live inside me, who knows nothing about me, and I've known you for 15 minutes, you're going to tell me what I need to do for me because you read it in a book somewhere 30 years ago? That's what I've learned about all of this. It's not to put anyone down, it's to put it in perspective. They're doing the best they can on a system where they are so maximized to capacity with patients that they can deal with. So they're not going to be able to do research on me the way I'm going to be able to do on me in 15 minutes and give me a solution. They're going to go by what they learned, what they see, how to get to the next patient, and prescribe me a medication. And I've been watching Italy turn into capitalism because I've been here 14 years. Before it was different. Italy only ever subscribed supplements. They would do everything before to give you a medication. Oh, no. Now Italy just gives you medications. And even on private insurance, you can't have pre-existings. Didn't exist before in Italy. So it's very weird watching it from the outside going, oh, I'm not getting caught on that system again. Do you know what I mean? So it's been a very interesting thing, but every ailment that I've had, I've found. Rheumatoid arthritis, I bought a blood panel on Groupon because I wasn't feeling good and I kept not feeling good. No one believed me. There was this VES that tests the blood speed and the protein, right? And that was what I went to a rheumatologist with, and they diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis. Not once. For years and years, I was playing all those things until I did those tests. So Groupon is your best friend. You are your own best advocate. Groupon will give you blood tests without seeing a doctor, and a doctor will call you back and give you the results, right? And then you go to the doctor with those results instead of waiting for the doctor to allow you to get those test results. So I started taking my health into my own, watching YouTube videos, showing up differently, watching that what I eat is important, watching out of, thankfully I've been a vegetarian since I'm 20, but I became full vegan. What I've noticed, because I correlate, I'll show you another picture. What I've noticed the other day, I haven't had dairy in a while. I was at a place and I had a cup of tea. They didn't have soy milk. So I said, oh, could you just give me some lactose-free milk? They gave me a little bit of lactose-free milk, and out of nowhere, the next morning, I started getting this, if I can find it, not to disrupt, I had literally a puff pocket under my eye, and I was like, wait, what is happening? Just from that little bit of dairy, I can't, but I don't want to take it, but literally the next morning, like puff right underneath, inflammation. And so imagine what that was doing to my body before. I was eating cheese, drinking milk, doing all of these things, right? But I didn't learn how to correlate before the way I do now. So I show up differently for myself now than I did before. And people go, oh, but I can't do what you do because you're Dena. Okay, but if the pain gets bad enough, there isn't anything you wouldn't be willing to do to get out of it. But I know a lot of people don't know where to start because it is so debilitating. It is so scary. I have a 19-inch cage in my back for stabilization. I have a machine it's a stimulator, right? On top of that, I've had 35 surgeries. I have 2 plates in my neck. I've never been in a car accident. I have degeneration. I have so much chronic pain. But then if we're going to go deeper, then let's go into the body keeps score, right? And let's go into, okay, 80% of people who have autoimmunes are women. Would that be from stored trauma? Because your body attacks itself with autoimmune. So why is your body attacking itself? So then, as an intuitive and a psychic, the reason why I do intuitive coaching is when I found out how my beautiful brain works, being neurospacey, I realized that I can't label anything because none of that is true, right? Because everyone used to call me a control freak, cold, impulsive, crazy. No, I was just a dysregulated ADHD woman trying to regulate myself and my environment by trying to control the environment, right? And then I realized my self-talk was really mean. I talk really bad to myself about myself. Like, fuck up. What the fuck was that? Oh my God, you're so stupid. You're so fat. I've released 100 pounds. So it would be 50 kilos since 2019. So only like 12, 20, it was 20 pounds a year I've been releasing. Very, 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 very slowly. So it was 103 kilos. Do you do kilos or pounds?
Kilos.
Okay, so I was 103 kilos. Now I'm 57 kilos. First time the other day when I went to the doctor fully dressed, didn't even take off the shoes. I was not embarrassed to get on the scale. And I got on the scale and I was 57 kilos fully dressed. And I was like, thank you. And so I realized that I had control. So everything that changed was nothing a doctor told me to do. It was everything that I learned to do. So listening to podcasts, changing my self-talk, changing my mindset. I'm a really great psychic, but what I've learned and I've known my whole life, because I've had 30 years of talk therapy and I'm still with the same therapist and I will never let him retire. He's 90 years old and I'm obsessed. But what I've realized is sometimes people need some extra things. So I tell people I help you accelerate in your therapy because a lot of neurodivergent people, we need to know the why. And so the why is so important. I would feel stuck. I would ruminate. I would do all of these things because I didn't know the why. Now I help people figure out the why they're feeling the way they're feeling or doing. So why would I crack you open, give you a bunch of psychic information, but no tools on what to do with it when it comes your way? So if I can intuitively pick up on where you're at right now in the moment, I know what's going to work best for you and who you are emotionally, mentally, all of these things. I like to call myself the autism whisperer now. Not that I diagnose people, but I make them aware and I'll be like, you came for a psychic reading, but you're leaving with the tism. And it's literally people will call me like weeks after or whatever, and they're like, I can't fucking believe that you said that. And like I'm resonating now. And I was like, yeah, it's all good. Welcome to my world, right? But if I see something, I need to say something. And
You
you
mentioned
watch, huh?
you mentioned the body keeps the score. You mentioned trauma and the body storing trauma. Can you give us some examples from your life, just so others can start to understand what they carry with them day to day without realizing it?
Oh, for sure. Okay, so recently I was telling my therapist that I do things all the time and I always feel like I'm in a rush, right? Even though I live in a town of 44,000, there is no pressure. I've read a lot of books, How to Do Nothing, Escaping Capitalism, right? But still, the feeling, because now what I'm learning is this tells me one thing, but this is telling me another, right? So I would notice that I never feel calm to where I'm like, oh, I got everything done today. I can relax. It's like I'm still clenched up and geared up for tomorrow. And he goes, oh, well, that's easy because your family never made you feel like you were worthy of relaxation. You were worthy of just being and doing nothing, that you being you wasn't enough. And I was like, wait a minute. Right. And then I felt that in my body, right? And I started feeling that and I started going, so when I'm sitting here and it's a certain time at night and I am done working and that impulse, I start talking to myself. I go, girl, what's up? Because I've also realized there's so many different versions of us. There's baby Dena, there's Dena, there's teenage Dena, there's mommy Dena. I didn't know they were all allowed to have a say at the same time. So now we've got some inner dialogue going in that sometimes autistic Dena, not sometimes all the time, she needs a schedule. So then we stick to a schedule. But then ADHD Dena needs some dopamine in there. So then I give her some little, okay, we'll go this way instead of this way when we're out in a walk, right? All parts of me have a say. So I've noticed with certain friends that I surrounded myself and I didn't realize it. And I'm going to be honest, I used to give pretty privilege. So if you were pretty, I would be like, oh no, she's not a narcissist, or she's not that, or she's not this. But I started noticing how I felt when certain people called, to where my whole body would
Mm.
literally be like, wait, something's wrong. I feel nervous. I don't want to pick up the phone. I don't. So then I started investigating that more. And then this one friend said to me, well, she's not a friend anymore, but she was my best friend for 30 years. And we broke up on December 23rd in 2023. You don't have boundaries, you have walls. And in my brain, I says the narcissist who can't abuse me anymore. But old me would have been super scared. I would have justified. But I'm learning to become the observer in my own life.
Mm.
I'm learning to observe my part in things. We didn't get here by somebody else treating me some way. I had to humble myself enough to admit that I took a part in this. Right. And so in observing, I also realized we all say we want love, we want this, we want that. But I also realized I don't know how to receive it. Because when someone does super nice things for me, my body goes, oh my God, do I owe you something? Because in the past, the body keeps the score, right? In the past, someone did something. Well, I did this for you and I did that for you. Or if a guy, then he would want sex from you. And so I realized I don't ever want someone to feel that. That's my body keeping the score from unhealed trauma.
Mm.
So I'm starting slow, right? And so I still get very nervous, even when somebody does a small gesture. I'm like, wait, girl, you say you want all these things. How are you going to receive all these things in the way that you say you want to receive them? So then I'll take it another one. I always feel like I don't get noticed like people do online. And I've been promoting myself for years, and then I watch other people surpass me. But if we're the body's keeping the score, and if we permeate the energy and we attract with where we're at, and I can barely receive small gestures, how am I going to receive 10 million people coming at me, 100,000 people coming at me? Right? So isn't rejection protection at times protecting me until I'm ready? Or maybe that's not the venue. Maybe the venue is in a different way, not in that way. But why was I pursuing that? Because that's what I was told in the conditioning, right? So it's unlearning and relearning of the social conforms, right? Of what we were told we should think, feel, like all of these things. So it's unlearning it. So I meet people with where they're at. And a lot of people are still fully, I like to say, in the matrix, right? And they have no idea about anything that I'm talking about. And then other people are half in, half out. And then other people are like knocking on the doorstep going, I need you now. Right. And so I can work with all different times because I've been in all of those spaces. And I know how to get through it now in a healthy way. And I know how to get through it independently, that's free. But you have to be willing to invest in yourself.
Mm.
And I finally felt like I was worth it. That took a lot. And when I asked my therapist, doctor, do you think I'm autistic? Because I've been seeing on TikTok, because I found out through TikTok, right? And he goes, well, yes, yes, I do. And I go, when the fuck were you going to tell me? And he goes, well, Dena, you like to label yourself, and we've been treating the symptoms, not the diagnosis. Well played. I was like, you know what? He's right. I would have used that for everything possible. I would have used that for excuses because I grew up in Newport Beach, California. You're nothing but a label. I grew up, then after that I went to Los Angeles to become an actress. You're nothing but a label. You're heavy, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, you're da 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 da. I applied everything to me. So by finding that out, and he still won't let me talk about, well, so I say, how my beautiful brain works, right? And so like I do the workaround. So I learned to talk about it, but now I'm like, oh, I look around my house and I look at me and I'm like, how did we never know? Right? But the autism is part of my magic. The ADHD is what saved me from childhood trauma because out of sight, out of mind. right? And so my sister, who doesn't have ADHD, every time I used to talk to her, I can't believe our parents did what they did to us, whatever. And she's older than me. Me, I'm like, I didn't understand why she held on to that because they didn't know with my beautiful brain, out of sight, out of mind. So I think the ADHD had a built in safety system that had this switch of like, too much, shut down, let's go.
For you and your sister, were you exposed to the same traumas, and has it
Exactly the
affected you the
same.
same, or has it affected you differently?
Well, it's affected me differently. So I'll get a little deep, but I want to explain this to people because I didn't understand that you could have four kids who grew up in the exact same toxic, abusive environment, and we all turned out completely different, right? So my sister, there was some sexual molestation happening, right? So she assumed it never happened to me because I was younger. She ran away, and I saw her a couple years later on the street. She was barefoot, wearing this Journey t-shirt, smoking a cigarette with a jean skirt. And I was like maybe 9 and she was 9, 10, 11, 12. So she was like 13. And I go, "Aren't you my sister, Tony?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then we started talking. She came home with me. Then I told her what was happening to me, and I could see in her face, I'll never forget it, the guilt that she felt because she was assuming she was the only one being abused and that she had to run away. And I was the luckier, cuter one where everyone spoiled and did whatever. So then what had happened was there was the jealousy as I was the younger, the cuter, the sweeter, because my sister always was very heavy, like 200 kilos, right? And, but then it was also, she couldn't stand being in the same room with me because of the guilt she felt for the accusations in her head that she had against me. So unfortunately, for a long part of our lives, I tried helping and saving her, not realizing she didn't want me to help and save her. And I, unfortunately, I haven't talked to her in 10 years, but, and I have two brothers, unfortunately, I don't talk to, but, there comes a moment in time when you realize that you either have to leave people where they are because you're doing a disservice to you and to them, meaning if they have no desire to go where you're going and didn't ask you, then I had to learn to stop trying and assuming people wanted my help. And it's not an easy thing to walk away, but at this age, and I have 9 nieces and nephews, and I only talk to one. And unfortunately, a lot of it had to do politically with the political climate, and they like a political orange person and all of that, and very different, and that's okay. But one grew up as all of us had alcohol issues, all of us, one's a well, two are narcissist, then my sister is a little bit, I'd say bipolar or something, but on top of that, just very aggressive, toxic, unfortunately alcoholic. And then there's me, and we all grew up exactly the same, but we all turned out very different. But again, my brother has ADHD and all five of his kids have ADHD, but my autism, I think, saved me because I have a very high moral compass. I need to stick to routine. And I remember my dad went to prison when I was in high school. He was never coming back. They were all fighting amongst each other. And my sweet little autistic ass was like, I need to get out of here. And so at 17, 3 days after graduation, I moved to LA and I convinced somebody to let me move in an apartment and I would pay rent, and I moved out on my own. Well, they all imploded and destroyed each other. But that's autism saving me, ADHD saving me, and going, oh no, the pattern recognition, knowing the energy. I didn't know all of that then, but if I look at it now, it was a gift. And so now that I look at myself, I was always othered, right? But now that I look at all the Diddy stuff and everything going on, I'm like, rejection is protection. I used to work at Prince's nightclub. I was in all those rooms with all these people, and I couldn't understand why no one ever wanted me. Yeah, because I had a different moral compass. But you look at it now from a different lens and you go, oh, wow, that's amazing. Right? So I look at everything now as like experiences. and I look at everything. If we came here to experience and we came here to change, I'm going to do the best that I can. So I get up and I look like this every day. It's not just for this, because I have this theory. If you look good, you feel good, you act good. So if I look in the mirror and I right now have still the kidney stones, and I'm in pain, I look in the mirror and I don't look as, I will look and feel as bad as I look, and I would be like, oh yeah, I do feel like shit. I look and I'm like, damn, Dena, get it, girl. It does something for me. Lip gloss and mascara goes a long way. And it's not that I'm trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm building in systems that accommodate my beautiful brain. I have to learn to accommodate myself. Other people in the world, if you have a disability, you get accommodations, a wheelchair, something, right? With ADHD, I've learned now my whole kitchen, I don't put stuff in the cabinets because I don't look in the cabinets. So what I've created is an outdoor vegan market. I painted the wall pink, I did chalkboard paint, and I have a picnic table in there, and everything's displayed with twinkle lights, so that I'm feeding the dopamine, the ADHD, I'm accommodating my brain, I get to see everything. So I do it with everything, with clothes, with decision fatigue. Found out that was a thing. Every Sunday, I put out all my clothes for the week. And I put them on a rolling rack, a hanger, clothes rack, so that I don't have to go through the closet, go through the things, look for the dopamine, right? What I'm in the mood for. No, because then that will cause paralysis. So I used to label all those things as lazy. I have nothing to wear. Other people are more lucky. Other people, no. I just didn't know how my brain worked. And there is a reason why everything is the way it is with my brain. So then I build in systems. So another system I build in, non-negotiable, I recommend for everyone. You should always have a non-negotiable. But my brain needs to habit stack. I need to feel like I'm getting more than one thing done at the same time. So that feeds the autism, the dopamine, because the autism needs to regulate the routine, but the ADHD needs dopamine, right? So in the mornings, I go in the infrared sauna bag, I do the Joe Dispenza meditation, and I do the red and the blue light for the face. So I get 3 things done in 30 minutes. That feeds all parts of me. Do you see? So I've really started to learn. And then my therapist said to me, you need to come up with a membership thing. So I came up with the coaching, because what I've realized is it's not that people want to just know what's happening. People need to understand why they feel the way they feel. And a lot of people don't. And I get that, especially if you're neurodivergent. And so I started also working with young kids under 12 with ADHD, because if we could teach them it's their brain and how their brain works, instead of comparing and labeling to other kids and other things, and we can start their self-talk younger, that's where the magic is. I want to build on a solid foundation. I don't want you to build on a crack foundation like you and I had to, and then now we have to unlearn. So I'm sitting in the kitchen the other day and I go, wait, no one ever taught us it wasn't about more stuff. No one ever taught us that it wasn't about the bigger car, the better phone, the better house, the better this, the better. Wait a minute. And then you have to start unlearning these things. But instead of, I did go through my resentment, sure, but it's less more now that I uncover things and I discover things. I show up differently. And people will literally go to me, it's not just the weight loss, it's you've changed. And I have fundamentally the way I think, what I believe. But I've gone down a gazillion rabbit holes and I've gotten to know who I am. And you want to know what I realized is they have been distracting us from ourselves. And that's where the magic is. I'm intuitive. I have pattern recognition. I get excited. I can tell if something's right or wrong. But no, listen to your doctor, listen to your teacher. No, go outside of who you are for somebody to confirm if you're a good person, if you're this, if you're that. When did anyone ever say, hey, how do you feel about you? You ever talk to you? It's most important on how you feel about. No, but that's selfish. Self-care is selfish, especially in religious things, because I grew up very Christian, right? That's so selfish. You know, everyone comes before you, because they knew if we went in and we really delved deep, we would figure out how powerful we are. We are so freaking powerful. The fact that even my ex-husband, he goes, no, I've never seen anyone in my life, and this is coming from a narcissist. I've never seen anyone in my life change the way you've changed. And I go, thank you. That's a very nice comment. He goes, no, no, I don't think you've understand. You've changed 360, like everything. And it wasn't like I was seeking to change. I was just seeking information. Then getting that information is what helped me change. You see? I talk a lot. I'm so sorry.
That's good. That's good. I like to listen. My parents
Thank
gave
you.
me big ears.
Ah,
I'm blessed. One of the skills that you've developed over the years is psychometry.
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 hmm
What is it?
So, psychometry is the energy. So, anyone can do this, including you. It's the energy or the vibration. So, generally, if someone would come for a reading, you would hold a piece of jewelry. And it's the energy you get off it. So, I always like to tell people don't bring me an antique that was a grandparent's or you got at a thrift store, right? Bring me something that you hold or your phone. But what I do is people will sign a paper that I send them. And so that's something they've touched because they've signed it. So, think about it. When you go into a bar or a place or a restaurant, you know, when you open it in a bar door and then everyone stops and looks, and then you're kind of like, oh, yeah, I don't like this vibe. Not my place, right? That's psychometry. It's energy. If you go into a bar and you're like, people are like, oh, and you're like, oh, yeah, slave. That's my vibe, right? It's energy. Add that with autism and ADHD, pattern recognition, heightened sensitivity, like all of these things. That's what makes autistic ADHD people so psychic and so powerful, but everyone is. We just are more sensitive, right? So the psychometry is energy. I read a room, I read an animal, I read, it's the energy vibration. So with my beautiful autism, I have something called and ADHD aphantasia, where when I close my eyes, I don't see anything. It's all black, right? But
Okay.
if you tell
Aphantasia.
me, yeah,
It's
it's
a
called
rare. That's a rare one.
it's a yeah, but if you close
Very
your
rare.
eyes and you can't see, so I have it, but I know what it feels like. I know what it tastes like, and it's this weird thing, and it's like I know, like let's say if I'm the color red. For me, the color red feels warm. It's bright. Sometimes it's angry, like whatever. So metaphorically, that's how I define it, and I see it. I know what it looks like because of past. But all of these things I've learned about my brain through research, right? And so I've like, oh, okay, I resonate with that. And I resonate. It's not like I'm diagnosing myself, I'm accommodating instead of labeling.
And with
So
aphantasia, it's an interesting one because a lot of people feel that because they can't visualize something, that nothing else works.
oh,
But
yeah,
it's
no.
only one of your six senses.
For sure.
And it's like we have people who are clairaudient,
Uh-huh.
clairvisual,
Uh-huh.
clairsentient. There's many different other
I'm also
senses.
clairsentient.
How does the clairsentient work for you?
The clairsentient is I feel fucking everything. Like
Mm.
it is like I have to be very careful of what I consume, and I'm talking like I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube and I watch like podcasts and things
Do you
like
feel
that.
the
But
emotional
I
contagion?
feel, and then here's what I just noticed, and I forgot the word. Someone unlocked it. Um, I like to watch a lot of eating videos because what I've realized is my mouth waters
Start
and
to
I literally
salivate.
get the satisfaction of as if I ate that. And then
Mm.
someone somewhere on a video said, my something was just unlocked. I don't know the name, so I don't want to say it. And then that person did a video on that. And I was like, holy shit, I have that. I was right the whole time with the eating videos. But it's just so cool to be able to put things onto what you're feeling and you don't know what that is and you don't say it out loud because people are going to think you're a freak.
Mm. And then they gaslight
There we go.
the pattern.
Because if they don't understand it, then it can't be true.
Mm.
Instead of being like, hey, so when I'm doing a reading and people go out and I let them give their thing and I go, can I just give you another perspective? And then I'll give it in a perspective of a way that I see it. And you watch everything in their body go when I say it that way. And they go, I never thought of it that way. No, how could you? Because we're so trained to convolute and attach labels and feelings and things to things without seeing how we actually feel about that thing.
Mm.
Your mom's still being your mom, and your mom's stuck over here, literally, and she's full in the matrix and hasn't had access to spirituality you have, or maybe doesn't have the same thoughts and feelings you have. But if your mom feels a certain way about you, then you're gonna take that on, because I work with clients who feel that way about parents. They'll take it on because they think that they have to make their parents proud.
Mm.
So then we're all stuck in a loop.
What an
Instead of
interesting rule, isn't
we're
it?
it
Got to
really
make
is
my parents proud.
it's crazy how many grown up
How
people
do you fill those shoes?
you don't.
You
You have
can't.
to learn to understand that that is not the way it's supposed to be.
Mm.
That's what we were conditioned to believe, because that keeps us stuck on a system.
Very
But
Victorian era.
well, think of it. Free thinkers are crazy and woke and tree huggers. Dude, I hug trees nonstop. Do you know how much energy I get from grounding and hugging trees?
All the
But do you
negative
know how
ions.
huh?
All the negative ions
For
when you
sure.
hug
And
the
I
tree.
live right next to the pine woods.
Mm.
So, but the way I grew up is tree huggers were crazy.
Mm.
Tree huggers are this, tree huggers that. Now grounding's finally become a thing, but people who don't understand it will label it and name it. And then people like me used to avoid people like that or saying things like that. But now that people literally come and go, I want whatever you're doing, because they see the light in me. They see the difference in me. They see the different person that I am, right? So now they're getting a different perspective of, I'm walking the walk. I'm not just talking the talk. And so I'll show you just to give
I
perspective.
dropped the kids off at school today, and as I was walking down the path, my Western brain saw a lady hugging the tree. And the Western brain wants to label it as weird, different, strange. But the Eastern brain says, if I had a little bit more courage, I'd probably go and do it. So I'm
Totally.
looking at it going, I'm actually a little bit envious that you can do it. And that's totally normal in our part of the world. People take their shoes off and they, with intention, they walk on the different surfaces. They go from the sand to the rocks to the gravel to the concrete to the rocks, back to the grass, and they'll stand there. And even when there's a full moon, I was taking my dog for a walk last night and there was this giant big moon. And if we go out and there's a new moon, my wife will bring the moon energy on her head. So I'm walking down the river and I start bringing the moon energy into me. And that's totally normal in this part of the world. Nobody
Well,
would look
because
differently if you're
they
doing
were
it. They'd look
raised with
differently if you
that.
weren't doing it.
Yeah, they were raised with that, and that's normalized.
Mm, totally normal.
Right? So it's like, before, when I first came to Italy, I was a brat and I was judgy and I was all these things, and I was like, wait a minute,
The
maybe they're
programming.
onto something. Maybe the slow living and the 36-hour work weeks and the all of not a lot of credit cards, not that, the, getting into consumerism, capitalism, maybe all of that is not. So I've had to be humbled. I've had to
Mm.
quiet myself. I've had to look at my arrogant Orange County, Los Angeles, judgmental booty and be like, girl, you're part of the problem. Right? So
It's
look,
a
this
lot
is
of
where I can,
unlearning, isn't it?
yeah,
There's
so
so much unlearning in it.
this is how far I've come.
Look like a different person.
Well, and it's not the same to be faced, right? But when I'm saying I walked the walk. I'm not just here going, oh, I've done this, I've done that. With that, under all those layers was a scared child who I abandoned. Then that comes in your child work, shadow work. Then there's a teenager who's pissed off that she was left to deal with all of the shit when the abuse started on me, that I learned to detach and I never came back. Right? So I had to do all of that work. The body kept the score. So it wasn't just releasing weight, oh, your life's over. But I've had people make ignorant comments going, well, I don't understand. You've lost 50 kilos and you're still in pain. Like I thought, because all doctors always tell us the only problem is it's because you're heavy. And then once you lose weight, all these issues are going to go away. No, different issues came. And so now I'm learning and I'm being humbled where I used to call girls skinny bitches and I'd be like, eat a burger. And I thought it was funny because we grew up in that toxic culture. But I'm in the market the other day and in front of everyone, the lady screams, "You're too skinny." I go, "I told you I have kidney stones and I haven't been able to." "Yeah, but you need to eat something." And then in that moment, I go, "Oh, did I used to make other people feel that way, not knowing if they had an eating disorder or something else?" So when I tell you, I thought life was going to be completely different. I didn't think it would be hard finding a man. I didn't think it was no, none of that's true. It's the same difficult. People still do. It's just the opposite issue of stuff.
We're talking about aphantasia and clear visual. Do you think that with the images that we can hold in our mind, do you think sometimes just too much information
Yes.
versus something where you can just gather one thing? It's like
Yes.
with remote viewing. I was studying remote viewing and I was practicing remote viewing because I wanted to learn a different skill. And they broke it down to 6 different things you could draw on a piece of paper. One was a curved line, one was a straight line, one was a structure. And it was so basic.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were saying in the remote viewing is the more simple you could draw the structure, like a triangle is a mountain, a
Mm-hmm.
curve is that. And that's it. They didn't want any detail at the start because they said as soon as you start to get into the detail, you would lose that intuitive nature because the conscious mind comes in and said, well, it shouldn't be like that. The brick should be like this. And a building is really not that color. It should be that. But they're just talking about basic symmetry, basic
Yes.
shapes. So
So
basic.
it comes into like the clairsentient for me is that
Mm,
I don't hear another voice telling me something, but what happens is I get feelings, and metaphorically, I know what those feelings mean to me to be able
mm,
to then assimilate and turn into a story for you.
yes.
Somebody else may get a voice. I've been learning to channel. And the interesting thing with this channeling is I've been learning to channel people's higher consciousness. So, what I've been doing is I've been helping people have hard conversations with children, parents, bosses, like whatever it may be, with one higher consciousness, but I make them talk. I don't speak for them. And you would be shocked that people are afraid to speak even when the person's not in the room. They go, "Well, what am I?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're in a fucking space where you can literally go, you know what? You make me feel that." And you see the fear because they're still afraid of what the story they're telling themselves. If they say something bad to a boss, to a parent, to no, this is to get
All that
clarity.
learned
This is
helplessness.
yes. And so I have this one client who hadn't spoken to his children in a year and a half. We talked to the daughter. The next day, I helped him comprise a letter. She wrote back, first time in a year and a half. And so he's like, "I can't thank you enough." And the fact of the matter is that the veil's being thinned, right? So the thinner the veil becomes, the more energetically we're going to be able to speak to people who have transitioned, to loved ones, to things, because this is schoolroom earth. And think of that as like home. Intuitively, what I feel is in the next 5 years, we are going to be able to actually communicate, whether it's through a hologram or how we're FaceTiming, because more voices are coming in, more energies are coming in, more people are having experiences, especially young people.
Mm.
So again, that's why I like to focus with young people, is that if you can help them understand what's happening, they don't have to add labels and fear to it. They can actually accept it and learn how to alchemize that. And that's what you and I are learning to do, right? And the fact that we
So
just
we
average
teach
people.
children to have an imagination
Yes.
until they get a conscious mind.
Yes.
And it's like at the same time with children, my children, they run around and they got no pants on, but they don't care. They don't care about judgment. They don't care about these rules. And then they get a conscious mind. It's like, I better hide myself. I better cover myself up. Being natural is not okay. I better conform.
Of course. And then that's deep conditioning. Think of it. Tell
Mm,
a vision,
mm,
right? They tell you what they want you to hear, to know. The greatest show on earth. Look over here. Look over here. We do all of that to go out of here to not focus in here,
mm.
right? So, as your parents, if they didn't have access to the kind of stuff we have access to, they thought they were just being good people. So let's take my dad, who's an 84-year-old ex-mafia man, finally now is agreeing that he's also autistic. It took me a few years, but I'd be like, Dad, who's your favorite kid? And he goes, you. And then I go, who do you have most in common with? You. And I go, who likes computers like you do? Who likes technology? You. And I said, well, if I have the autism and it's genetic, you definitely have the autism. It's just a different flavor, right? And so the other day he said, I wasn't able to look at my stepson until you explained to me about autism, and now I understand. And by you helping me use AI, because I think AI is literally an advocate for autistic and neurodivergent people, because there's so much in here that we don't know how to get it out here. So I taught my dad, you tell it everything you want it to say, but you ask it to rewrite it in a warm and friendly way. It's the way you prompt it and the way you talk to it. And so my dad's been able to send letters, and he goes, you help me get my thoughts and feelings out of my head and on paper. That's what I want to do also with children and people just in general. So people who are afraid of AI, especially neurodivergent people, I say, wrong move. It's here to help you. I've never been better at what I do in my business with less stress because I have the help of AI, because I don't do well with administrative stuff.
It's a lateral thinking type of mind. When I had my diagnosis, it was linear sequential learning disability. I couldn't learn ABC 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
My mind would go out there and connect all the dots in a different way. And
Yes.
that's like the AI. You can put in anything in any order and sequence, and then it will bring it back to you in a linear fashion so that
Yes.
everybody can understand. Okay.
Well, and it's
This is
blanketed.
the start, this is the middle, this is
Yeah.
the end. And everybody else goes, oh, now I get it. I understand it.
Well, but with AI, but the other, I remember being a kid in class, and I remember everyone would be taking tests. I was in the 6th grade, 1979. And I remember looking around, and everyone's just sitting there like this. And I'm like, how do they do that? My brain just didn't do that. I always got, Dena talks too much. Dena's depressed, anxious. Like, but no, Dena's autistic and has ADHD and never got help for it. But Dena was diagnosed with everything under the sun except that. And I get it. That's not where we were then. So I'm not going to stay stuck on it. But don't think I didn't allow myself to mourn the life that I thought I could have had. Watching my brother's kids get the assistance, and they were all in AP English, AP this, AP that. They all went to universities. I'm not saying they don't struggle, but they got help at 5 and 6 years old. I didn't get that. And so there is a mourning to that, because I was always othered, and I always didn't understand when my sister would be like, you're just so cold, when I would shut down, disrespect, and turn around and walk out the door and leave. No, that's my autism and that's my ADHD going F you, right? I'm not dealing with it. It's the impulsivity, it's all of that stuff. But try to tell that to other people who haven't healed where I've healed, and they're not where I'm at. In their mind, I'm crazy, and that's okay. I have to be okay with that, because the number one thing I've learned lately is that I cannot control other people's behavior. And that's the big thing I was always stuck on, is I always thought if I was better or kinder or nicer, or if they really liked me, they really would make an effort. We don't know what their mindset is. We don't know what they're thinking and telling themselves in their brain. So that's freed up so much for me. And then what I learned is, you get nervous with all that free, empty space, because as a neurodivergent, I like to fill in the space. But I would fill it in with justification. Well, they're this way because of that, or they did this because of that. I used to confuse history for loyalty. And now I don't fill in the fodder, and I observe, and people's behavior speaking for itself. So then it leaves me with one option. I have to let go of that person, or I have to communicate with that person. And so generally by the time I cut someone off, there has been times and times where I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And then there at just some point, it's just, I can't do it anymore. I just
Such
can't.
such an interesting view. Dana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having
It's
me.
nice to be able to experience what's happening in your mind, but also to be able to, for others to hear that the body does keep the score, and we store those traumas, and that we've got to be able to release them, as you mentioned there, the child, the teenager, the mother, the young adult, the older adult. We're going to release it at many stages. Very insightful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And you're so easy to talk to.
So why I got big ears. Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.